Hi, fourth grade. This is part 6 of Whatshisface. Chapter 13 Alistair's Magical Window. Cooper, what are you doing? Cooper shifts his position on the couch to peer up at his sister. What does it look like I'm doing? I'm watching TV. Veronica points to the GX 4000, which is propped against a sofa cushion facing the television. I'm glad you like your phone now, but isn't this kind of nuts? Do you take it to the movies too? Is that going to be your prom date? Flushing, Cooper takes the phone and jams it into his pocket. I tossed it over there and that's how it landed. Leave me alone. Zowie, Roddy complains over the earbud. I was watching that. Cooper knows there will be consequences if Roddy is prevented from watching Wheel of Fortune. The ghost has a major crush on Fair Vanna, the beautiful enchantress who maketh letters appear with a touch of her lovely hand. Somehow, Roddy has turned into a dedicated TV addict and couch potato. Of all the wonders of the 21st century, television is his absolute favorite, surpassing even the school bus. He's convinced this is his father's magical window, but not even the great Alistair Northrop could have dreamed that his vision would turn out to be so awesome. Cooper sort of understands it. In Elizabethan England, pictures were drawings and paintings, period. The only moving entertainment happened on a theater stage. To Roddy, a cop show with gunfights and car chases is a real life and death struggle playing out before his eyes. Be vigilant, he screams at a hero, his voice painfully in Cooper's earbud. He hath a pistol. Cut it out, Roddy, Cooper hisses back. You'll bust my eardrum. And he'll explain for the umpteenth time that movies and TV shows aren't happening in the real world. A brigand and an assassin betwixt those walls, Roddy persists. An actor betwixt those walls, and his gun is probably made of plastic. None of this makes much impression on Roddy. What is this plastic? He calls out warnings during action shows and cries during the sad parts of soap operas. During game shows, he marvels at the prizes, like trips to places he'd never heard of, and home appliances that perform functions he can't begin to imagine. And he laughs at the comedies, although he doesn't get very many of the jokes. If the laugh track is going, he assumes a good many people are finding this funny, and that's enough for him. Modern language he picks up from TV is even finding its way into his 16th century speech in sentences like, forsooth, the death cart is a major bummer, and chillax, Cooper Vega, dis, not the memory of my brilliant father. Veronica has no idea of any of this. All she sees is her brother bonding with an electronic device. She sits down next to him on the couch. Mom and Dad are worried about you. You're not making any friends here. The kids in this town are about as friendly as an open grave, he tells her, and that starts with your new boyfriend's brother. Thing is, Veronica goes on, we hear you talking to yourself. I don't talk to myself, Cooper says. I'm calling old friends. That's why they got us the phone in the first place. Remember? Save it, Coop. This is me you're talking to. You're not calling anybody. The bill just came in. You made like 3 calls the whole month. Uh-oh. He and Roddy have been working on the role of Romeo, which often has them staying up late at night. He was relying on the phone to be his excuse for all that talking. He never considered that the family's cell phone bill would give him away. I'm practicing for my part for Romeo and Juliet, he explains. Oh, please. Chad's brother says you have exactly one line. I want to do a good job, okay? Besides, I'm the understudy for Romeo, so I have to learn his part too. But, he adds quickly, don't say anything to Chad, because Brock can't know about it. This is just in case he gets sick or drops out or something. Maybe Chad is smart, but it definitely doesn't run in the family. Fine, I'll pass that along to Mom and Dad. It'll make them feel better. They're afraid this last move put you over the edge. Her eyes narrow. You're telling me the truth, right? Verily, she freezes in the doorway. What? He grins. Sorry, Shakespeare on the brain. After a while, you start talking like that. A loud laugh escapes her. You, as Romeo? You think the world is ready for that? It doesn't look like Cooper is going to have a chance to be Romeo anytime soon. Brock is improving at his role every day. He's still not a great actor, but he's learning his lines, which are, let's face it, pretty hard. Cooper can relate. He spends his days struggling to follow Roddy's English, and Shakespeare is even more flowery and fancied up. Brock put in an effort to make it happen mostly because he likes the attention. He's already the school's soccer star, but his status as an actor bumped that up to another level. He gets away with the obnoxious things he always does because now he does them Romeo style, like pushing in front of the cafeteria sneering, "Begone, vile couplets," or passing gas in the locker room because farting is such sweet sorrow. But the main reason Brock is embracing the role is the girl he gets to romance on stage. As rehearsals progress from learning lines to actual staging, the relationship between Brock, Romeo, and Jolie, Juliet, continues to bloom. During the famous balcony scene, Jolie looks down at Brock with pure love in her eyes. Cooper used to believe that was her talent as an actress. Now he's not sure what to believe. And if Cooper isn't too thrilled about it, Roddy is in full lament. Would that the plague had turned me to dust ere I wrote that play. I thought the plague doesn't turn you to dust, Cooper reminds him sourly. You get oozing eruptions, remember? I forgive thee thou harsh words, Cooper Veger, for I know thine heart be cleft in twain. I have no idea what that means, Cooper mutters, shoving the GX4000 back in his pocket, but there's nothing wrong with my heart or any other part of me. It's a lie. Watching Earth's favorite star-crossed lovers on the stage is giving him stomach cramps. When Jolie invited him to Adventureland, he really felt that things were starting to click between them. That may as well have been something that happened way back in Roddy's time. Since then, it's been all Brock and Jolie, Jolie and Brock. After school, he comes upon the two of them racing on rollerblades down a steep hill and over a makeshift jump ramp that they'd fashioned from wooden boards and cinder blocks. They're laughing and whooping it up, their faces pink with enjoyment and exertion. Spying him, Jolie waves, "Come join us." "No thanks," he calls back. "Art thou milk-livered?" Roddy demands. "Leave her not in the hands of that buffoon? Fetch thee wheeled boots and roll." "My wheeled boots aren't even unpacked yet," Cooper tells him. "And you know why? Because I stink at rollerblading. I skate on my ankles." "Alas," Roddy says mournfully, "never did I believe my friend Cooper Vega would give up the contest so freely." "There's no contest," Cooper tells him bitterly. "He won. I lost. That's the way she wants it." "She invited thee," the ghost argues. "I heard this with my very ears. I'm going home, Roddy, and you're coming with me." "20 minutes till Vanna." "Thou shalt not distract me so easily," Roddy insists. "Mine Ursula loved me not, but there is still hope for thee. Thou hast not yet been voted off the island." Cooper stops in his tracks. "Roddy, you watch too much magical windows." "Thou speakest without logic," the ghost accused him. "Too much magical windows? There's no such thing." The next week, the teacher made an announcement. "Congratulations, everybody. We are now officially halfway through rehearsals. You're all doing a terrific job. Give yourselves a pat on the back." As Shakespeare might have said, "Well met." If he could have distracted himself from stealing the writings of a poor dead apprentice, Roddy snorts into the earbud. Cooper barely hears him. The gym rocks with applause. The seventh graders have been working hard. It's nice to know that their efforts have been paying off. "In honor of making it this far," director goes on, "we have a special treat. Every year, Mr. Wolfson throws the cast and crew a party to celebrate the midpoint. Keeping with the romantic spirit of Romeo and Juliet, ours is going to be a dance." Cooper isn't sure what reaction the teacher expected, but what he gets is a deafening chorus of whoops and moose calls, punctuated by a drum roll of foot stomping. All right, the director exclaimed, banging a ruler against his clipboard. Gradually, the clamor dies down. "Let's try to be mature about this, people. Most of you are 12 or 13. Remember, Juliet herself was only 13 in the play, and if Shakespeare considered that old enough, the least we can do is not fall to pieces every time love or romance is mentioned." Roddy's voice is bitter in Cooper's earbud. "Juliet hath 13 years, for that was the age of my Ursula, and also mine own age. Vile Shakespeare had no hand in it, save the sticky fingers that stole my play." Cooper swallows a laugh. For centuries, experts and professors have been agonizing over why Romeo and Juliet are so young. The simple truth? Because that was the age of the guy who invented them. "Listen up," the teacher urges. "This is supposed to be fun. Think of it as the catapults ball, where Romeo and Juliet first met. What an electric moment that was." All eyes turn to Jolie and Brock. Brock is beaming from ugly ear to ugly ear. Jolie's face is flushed, and even she seems pretty pleased about the whole thing. This dance isn't going to be a celebration of the halfway point of rehearsals. It's going to be a coronation of Brock and Jolie as the king and queen of 7th grade. Why can't Dad get transferred again? Cooper thinks to himself. This time to the moon. Chapter 14. Wherefore art thou? O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Jolie, dressed in Juliet's pale blue gown, peers over her balcony and delivers the famous line. Cooper climbs the vines to reach her. The puffy fabric of Romeo's costume catches on the sharp branches. The way the stage is designed, he's actually ascending a rope ladder hidden behind the greenery. He gazes up in dismay. The more he climbs, the further away she seems to be. The rope ladder is expanding before his eyes, and Jolie seems ever more distant. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? I'm coming, he wants to shout, but that's not in the script. He knows the lines, but how will he ever reach her to say them? What's going on here? Sets don't change in the middle of a performance. Rope ladders don't grow. He looks down. The wooden floor of the stage is 50 feet below him and falling fast. Oh no. Wherefore art thou? Cooper climbs as fast as he can until the sweat stings his eyes and dampens Romeo's uncomfortable, tight collar, but Jolie gets no closer. Up the rope ladder races Brock, ascending at a superhuman pace. The bigger boy's muscle past Cooper like he isn't even there, mumbling, "Out of my way, what's his face?" "Hey, I can't hold on. Stop." Cooper loses his grip on the ropes and he's plummeted to the stage, which is now too far away to see. The feeling of the free fall swells in his stomach. He recognizes it from the roller coasters. What was the name of that third roller coaster? "I'm going to die," he reflects, oddly detached from the moment. "This stupid play is actually going to kill me." Cooper sits upright in his bed, his heart hammering in his chest. What a night. He's barely sleeping at all, catching only short cat naps before uneasy dreams jolt him back to unpleasant awareness. Last time, he woke to feel that someone was standing over his head, watching him. Creepy. He checks his phone. 3:18 a.m. Nowhere near morning. "Roddy," he whispers, "you awake?" He knows it's a dumb question. The ghost is pretty much always awake. Only math class manages to lull him into a stupor. Cooper frowns. There's no answer, and Roddy's familiar face and odd clothing don't replace the GX4000's home screen. "Hey, Cooper." "Hey," Cooper says a little louder. He has to be careful not to wake up his parents or Veronica. They already think he's talking to himself. "Roddy," counts to 10, then 20. "Roddy, are you there?" Could Roddy be gone? Of course he could. When you think about it, there's no logical reason to have a ghost in your phone in the first place. A phone with no ghost makes a lot more sense than what Cooper had before. But Roddy was there. It was no hallucination, not for weeks like that. What would make him suddenly disappear? Nothing changed. Or maybe it did. What if something happened that had nothing to do with Cooper? The ghost always suspects his mission in 2018 was to make sure his father got credit for all of his inventions back in the 16th century. Maybe, at this very moment, a guy is writing a book about the great Alastair Northrop, and poor Roddy can finally rest in peace. That means I'm free. All at once, Cooper was aware of a heavy weight pressing down on his chest, constricting his airways, and making it hard to breathe. He doesn't feel like he's been released. He feels like he's been abandoned. "Roddy." He taps the screen one more time, but nobody's there. And when the phone goes blank again, the darkness in Cooper's room is almost overpowering in its loneliness. "This is stupid," Cooper berates himself. "You've left enough friends behind to field a football team. What's so different about this?" With that, the silvery shape flashes in through the windows, circles around the room twice, and is sucked into the GX4000 with a vague slurping sound. "Roddy?" When the screen illuminates, the ghost is grinning out at him, Brock-like. "'Tis night, Cooper Vega. Thou shouldn't be sleeping. Never mind what I shouldn't be doing. How did you get out of the phone?" Thusly, the ghost closes his eyes, contorts his face in concentration. With a click, the camera flashes and out comes Roddy in shimmering spectral form. He perches on the footboard, arms folded in front of him, beaming down at Cooper with a self-satisfied smirk. Now Cooper understands his creepy feeling of being watched. They're 100% real. "How long has this been going on?" he hisses. Roddy offers a ghostly shrug, followed by a jig across the foot of the bed. He leaps off the comforter and is drawn back into the phone. Is that, is it not joyous, he raves? O Cooper Veger, such wonders I have beheld in my travels behind the wall of thine dwelling. A light in thine own yard, possessed of such a great intelligence that it shineth upon every passing squirrel, and yet not upon me. A red iron post on your avenue that is so revered by hounds that each one lifteth his leg in a respectful salute. A manner of school bus that travels not on the ground but high in the air, with wings like a bird. Yeah, great stuff, Cooper says impatiently. But did anybody see you? You kind of shine in the dark, you know. Alas, yes. Her body stiffened at the sight of me, and a shrill cry did she make. She chased me through many yards before I eluded her. Cooper holds his head. Do you think she'll call the cops? The last thing they need is ghost sighting around the neighborhood. Roddy's brows furrowed on the screen. I think not. After all, she is but a cat. Yes, but if a cat can see you, a human can see you too, Cooper worries. Some people get crazy about supernatural things. We could end up with a team of Ghostbuster wannabes combing the area. What happens if one of them notices whose phone you swoosh back into? Worry not, Cooper Vega. I shall be the soul of caution. Cooper is not comforted. This is the same guy who left his life's work laying around where a thief named Shakespeare could steal it. Chapter 15. Hipping and Hopping. Somerset Wolfson III welcomes you to the Catapult Ball in honor of the cast and crew of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Keep up the good work. Wow, Cooper says to the teacher who is greeting the 7th graders at the door to the gym. Is Mr. Wolfson here? Gets a big laugh from the students in the line behind Cooper. Are you kidding? Aiden crows. The wolf never slums it with us common people. He just picks up the tab. Aiden, the director is disproving. We don't call Mr. Wolfson by that nickname. And besides, you're wrong about that. He comes to our performance every year. Because that's Shakespeare, Aiden reasons. He's president of the guys' fan club. They say he's got a Shakespeare sweaty underwear hidden in his museum of his, pipes up another one of the soccer players. Cooper snickers. The teacher smiles tolerantly. We'll find out soon enough. We'll be visiting the museum before the show. Although, he says, I've taken the tour many times. No underwear, sweaty or otherwise. The underwear must be in a secret collection, Aiden announces, the one nobody's allowed to see. I'll bet he talks to it. I'll bet he wears it on his head when he goes to sleep at night. The director made a face. That's just gross. Have fun, boys. Don't forget to take one of these. He hands out a carton full of colorful cardboard masks. Remember, the party was a masquerade ball. That's how Romeo was able to sneak in. Once again, Roddy asked Cooper to take out his phone, so mine eyes behold the splendor of the ballroom. All right, Cooper whispers, but you're in for a letdown. What manner of ball is this? The ghost complains. Where are the banners, and the tapestries, and the candelabra? 'Tis not a ballroom at all. 'Tis but the gymnasium, in half darkness, with a paltry assortment of colored streamers dangling from the basketball tourists. School parties are always lame, Cooper tells him. I see no minstrels. When beginneth the music? This rhythmic pounding doth hurt my ears. That is music, Cooper explains. It's called hip hop. It's pretty good. You're just not used to it. Ah, this cannot be so. The boy standeth by yonder wall, whilst the maiden standeth opposite. Yet they danceth not. That's pretty standard too, Cooper informs him. The last thing anyone wants to do at a school dance is dance. Thy world is magical, Cooper Vega, yet the people in it trieth my understanding. The mass may have helped Romeo crash the party, but for seventh graders who see one another every day, a small oval of cardboard isn't much of a disguise. Cooper can't miss Brock's. Hey, check out Whatshisface, and is happy to hear Jolie calling his name and waving from the other side of the gym. Roddy sees her too. Thou shalt say to her that her beauty doth put to shame the rose. You look nice, he shouts back at her. Art thou hopeless, the ghost sighs through the earbud. A life stone knoweth more of love than thee. Thou must lead her into dance. I'm not going to do that, Roddy. I'll look like an idiot. Eventually, the teachers get fed up with the boys and girls separated into two armed camps that they try to move things along by dancing themselves. If they expect this to inspire the students to follow their example, they're sorely disappointed. There's a lot of chuckling and even some finger pointing, but the cast and crew of Romeo and Juliet keep to the opposite sides of the gym. They may be putting on a romantic play, but that's where the romance ends. At last, the teachers resort to desperate measures. The teacher pulls Brock from his usual group of friends and marches him out of the gym. Miss Fostros does the same with Jolie. A few minutes later, the two lead actors are back in full costume. That does the trick. Two Stafford 7th graders are never going to ask each other to dance. But for Romeo and Juliet, it's the most natural thing in the world. Of course, the play's star-crossed lovers never dance to rap, but that doesn't seem to matter. The entire cast and crew clusters around Jolie and Brock, clapping to the beat. Soon everyone is moving to the music, individually and in groups, swaying, stomping, gyrating until it feels as if the very gym floor is vibrating under their feet. The sight of Jolie in Juliet's pale blue gown, dancing with Brock, is enough to make Cooper's skull hurt. He points the GX4000 in their direction so Roddy can see them too. Look at him, Cooper sees. He put the bum in Bumgardner. What a knave. There's no response from the phone. The screen is dark. Cooper looks around and finally locates Roddy, a simmering silhouette swirling above the dancers. Roddy has let himself out again, this time in front of every 7th grader in town. Obviously, Cooper can't chew out the ghost here. Besides, the music is too loud for Roddy to have any chance of hearing him. So he holds the phone high above the crowd, hoping that Roddy will spot it and get the message, "Get back in or else." It doesn't catch Roddy's attention, but he's the only one to miss it. The dancers take out their phones, extending them over their heads, and start snapping pictures. Flashes burst in all directions. The DJ gets into the spirit and kills the lights. The effect is mesmerizing. Strobe-lit bodies gyrating in what look like slow motion. And atop it all, that smoke above a battlefield, a 16th century ghost, his puffy sleeves and arms and pantaloon legs grooving to the beat. Cooper stands in agony, waiting for someone to point straight up and holler, "Hey, what's that?" No one does. The scene is wild, the cameras flashing too blinding for anybody to notice the dimly glowing mass circling overhead. Nor can they tell when Roddy's specter is ripped off of the air and sucked back into the GX 4000. As the party rages on, Cooper glares in fury at the ghost, now on the screen again. Are you crazy? Somebody could have seen you. Oh, Cooper Vega, Roddy is actually panting. Methinks this hipping and hopping is a most excellent entertainment. Perchance this music is this in be music in truth? The click disappears behind the pounding beat as Roddy streams out of the phone and rejoins the dancers. Cooper can only watch helplessly and hope that the DJ's lights cover up the swooping and swan diving that's taking place above them. There's no point in counting the Mississippis anymore. Seconds have turned into long minutes before Roddy is drawn back into the GX 4000, only to catch his breath and launch himself free again. No wonder the ghost had the time to investigate airplanes and fire hydrants and be chased by cats. He's learning to extend his jumps outside the phone. As the ball rocks on from one song to the other, a few other cast members slink off to the wardrobe room and reappear in full costume, much to the delight of the teachers. But there's no question that the focal point of the party lies with Romeo and Juliet. They dance every song together, and their eyes rarely leave each other. If you don't count the times Brock pans the gym with his puffed up smirk, making sure that everybody knows he got Jolie Solomon wrapped around his little finger. When he finds Cooper, the grin becomes almost Grinch-like, twisting his fat cheeks until it seems as if his face might break. Cooper can't help thinking of the final lines of Romeo and Juliet, for never was a story more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo. Of course, Shakespeare was talking about the fact that they both died, but this feels pretty lousy too. Eventually, the DJ takes a break, and the teachers herd the cast members to the long buffet table for pizza and dessert. Roddy returns to the phone, exhilarated. I am bereft. The hipping and hopping hath ended. Just while we eat, Cooper soothes. You can get riffed again when the DJ comes back. The students, exhausted after a solid hour of non-stop dancing, fall on the pizza like starving sharks. Brock loads up a double-decker sandwich for 4 face-to-face slices, and the teacher rushes over with a paper towel to keep him from decorating Romeo's costume with tomato sauce. Why don't you dine? Cooper Vega, the ghost asked. Is a triangular flatbread not to thy liking? It's called pizza, and it's just fine. But something made me lose my appetite. See? He angles the GX 4000 in the direction of Jolie and Brock. In spite of the entire grade milling around, it's as if they're having an intimate dinner for two. Thou shalt assert thyself, Roddy advises. When the hipping and hopping resumeth, she must hip with thee. Also hop, as it is my observation that the two go together. Too late, Cooper laments. 'Tis never too late. Not even when the death cart cometh for thine sad remains. Behold, here I am. Brock reaches over to the DJ station, pulls off the microphone, and lets out an enormous belch. Magnified by the sound system, it makes the rafters ring. Then he bellows, his mouth still full of pizza. I'm Romeo. Wherefore art me? Cooper is seething. I hate when he does that. The teachers exchange weary glances. They don't mind their cast and crew having a little fun, but when should they step in to keep things from getting out of hand? In the nick of time, Jolie leans into the mic and in pleading tones recites Juliet's line, "Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love." "Yeah," Brock roars and repeats, "Wherefore art me?" Tyler McAdoo, who plays in play, chimes in with the famous "A plague on both thy houses" speech. Ruth James, Juliet's nurse, delivers her line, filled with ominous warning. "His name is Romeo, and a Montague, the only son of your great enemy." "Wherefore art me?" brays Brock when it seems like too much time has gone by without him putting in his 2 cents. "Speak up," Roddy hisses in Cooper's ear. "No chance. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole." "Go forth and speak Romeo's lines so that fair Jolie may see that thou art better than the buffoon." Before he can think it through, Cooper is stepping forward to the mic. "Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I will never be Romeo." As Cooper speaks, Jolie's attention shifts from Brock to him. At first, her expression is surprise. Then she steps towards him and delivers Juliet's response. "What man art thou, that this bescreenged in night, to stumblest on my counsel?" Brock tries to interpose another "wherefore art me," but all eyes are now on Cooper and Jolie. Even another burp doesn't recover the crowd's attention. As at last resort, Brock recites the speeches along with Cooper. It's his part, after all. He should know it best, but he falters, and Cooper continues on, letter perfect. He and Jolie continue the scene, line by line, Romeo and Juliet, while Brock struggles to keep up. At last the teacher steps in, concerned about what's on Brock's angry red face. "That's enough, everybody. Rehearsal is tomorrow. Tonight we party." He signals to the DJ. A few minutes later, the music is pounding, dance floor is rocking, and Roddy is out there flying high above the heads. Cooper feels a hand on his arm and looks up to see Aiden regarding him in wonder. "Dude, how come you know that? You're one of the watchmen like me." Cooper shrugs. "I've only got one line. That's a lot of time sitting around listening to other people act. I guess I just kind of picked it up." "Yeah, but you're a natural," Aiden said. "All those Shakespeare words. It's almost like you've got a little voice in your head telling you exactly what it's supposed to sound like." Cooper smiles. "You have no idea." On the ride home in Captain Vega's car, Roddy can't stop raving. "The most glorious evening since I last drew a breath in this world. And the crowning moment was thine performance. 'Tis certain that fair Jolie will commence falling in love with thee at any moment." Cooper sighs. Roddy's great, but he has a lot to learn about the 21st century girls. Okay, next time we will start at chapter 16.